Hello and welcome back to the channel. You know, the other week when I promised some Mrs. Winn footage, well, I've made a start, so let's go and have a look. Well, I found that old block of wood I was looking for. It was under the bonnet of Mrs. Winn. Right, okay, right, I have had her running. Hooked her up to a battery and I just thought, you know what? Yeah, let's make a go of this. So anyway, she did fire up briefly, and as you can see there, I've got the carburetor kind of off. Basically, the fuel in there is absolutely all crud and nothing else. So, and the petrol doesn't actually smell like petrol. I'm probably on the verge of saying jet fuel, paraffin, and H2O, I think it smells like. Yeah, definitely smells like an old lawnmower. So, right, anyway, she's been briefly running, but not enough to actually get her to move. So, yeah, I've just pulled the carb off because I just want to have a look in there and just basically see if I can have it running longer than 20 seconds. Anyway, so as you can see, the suspension is pumped up. However, passenger side is absolutely rock hard. But these are refurbed units, so these will be going back to be tested to find out exactly what's wrong with them, exchanged, whatever, or I'll buy a new set, whatever. So, because they have been on the car over a year, so I would actually say they are out of warranty at the moment, so fair dues. Probably my fault for actually just putting them on and just pumping it up and leaving it, because I haven't done any work on it, as we all know. I can't actually remember the last time I've done any work on it, but I will show you where I'm up to. So if I remember rightly, I was doing a sill repair on this side and the rear wheel arch. It is brown, there is some form of paint on it, but I'm not worried about it just now, because I'm probably going to go down the route of maybe another respray down both sides, because that was just done with rattle cans in the middle of winter when I couldn't be arsed and I weren't paying much of attention. Ricky, there's a train for you. For the other three train fans. Right, so inside all I need to do is clear my junk out and put the seats back in, and that's probably about it, and give her a general clean up and put trims back on and whatnot. As you can see, Mrs. Winn wears a 4-spoke steering wheel because I didn't like the original. I never have done. I think they're horrible looking things, but when I found out that these steering wheels fit, I thought, yes, we're having one of them. So, and also, the keen-eyed amongst you will notice she also has a rev counter. This come out of an Allegro 3, so it's set up for a 4-cylinder engine. Okay, the font's a little different, but I'm not that too fussed about that. And I think I may have another spare one, but it might have a different font. But I'm not worried about fonts. It's a rev counter and it's there, and probably what should have been there in the first place. So yeah, and also there's the dash that needs addressing because it is all starting to delaminate. Whether it's just lack of peel or what, I don't know, but I do have a couple of spare dashboards, so I'll pick through the best one and probably get that fitted at some point. Obviously the windscreen rubber has now started to go, which it had been for years, but these are available from the club. So yeah, I will be putting a new one of them in. Take the screen out, because this has still got its original XXX 1020 with its original sticker on. So yeah, I'll be redoing this black down there as well that hides the wipers. Yeah, back to my carb, I think then. So I've cleaned the float bowl out. That was basically full of sand and gooey, greasy, horrible stuff. I would imagine it's the modern fuel. Probably had E10 in it last time it was run, maybe. That's all gone stale now and eating away at things, so maybe some new fuel lines and all that. Might have to do a full carb rebuild, I don't know. But I'll get it cleaned up and we'll see how we go. So that's the carburetor back on. I didn't disturb any of the hoses, but we'll see what happens. See, I want to move it out of this corner so I can actually do some work on it properly and get it out the way. Right. Oh, clutch works, I think. Right, we have lights. Let's have some choke, see what happens. Same again, only running for a bit. I've got a feeling that the fuel's absolutely knackered. Yeah, I think so too. Probably not getting pumped up properly. But, as you can see, she runs. Come on, stay running, darling. Good girl. That'll do. Doesn't like being revved. She doesn't like being revved, which fair enough. If the fuel's that bad, I kind of understand it. Come on, darling. So I'm probably guessing we have got a fuel issue. As you can tell there, she does run. But yeah, I'm guessing it's fuel. Fair enough. Really? Well, the old girl runs. Take on, little lady. I'll fix the wagon. So this is the SU HIF 44 carburetor off the Princess. So I'm going to strip this down and we're going to see what's up and why it's not running very well, if at all. So I would imagine it's just a little bit blocked up with really old fuel. So let's make a start on stripping it down. So first I'm going to undo the 3 screws on the dash pot and we're going to lift that off. So that's dash pot out and the piston with the needle on there. Yeah, it looks needle looks a little bit furred up, so quick clean up on that. Yeah, you can see there's I'm not sure it's going to focus for me, but that's quite furry on the end there. So yeah, it's not quite pointy, so I would imagine that's causing some problems. So just a little bit of corrosion inside. The old oil there falling out and the springs just fell on the floor. Awesome. So we'll pick that up in a minute. So as you can see down there is the jet. Not much to these carburetors, to be fair. It looks fairly clean inside there. Yeah, it's alright. That's nice and free. If a little bit grubby, bit of carb cleaner on that, that'll be fine. So I think let's take off the float chamber and see what's going on inside there. So just those 4 screws on the underside there, and then the float chamber will come off. That's the final screw coming out now into my little dish. Oh, it's all nice. No, need to put the camera down, need to be brutal with it. 1 minute. So there's not much in the way of dirt in there because I have already had this bowl off and cleaned it out. So that's just ingrained into it. So there's nothing in the way of dirt in there. But if we have a look, turn it upside down, we can see inside there that that is all, ooh, that's really horrible waxy stuff. So we'll have to take this out, clean it out. So there is another screw for the pivot, which is there. So when I undo this screw, that will take the pivot out and I can remove the float and the shut off jet thing, float jet, that's it, float jet. Nice. So let's undo that, get that out of the way. So the screw undone, just to pull the screw out, and it's a long screw with a pivot on it, pivot pin. That looks pretty clean, so we're all good. I'll drop that in there, and now I can lift the float out. And there is the float. It's not full of fuel, so there's no hole in it. And then down inside there is the tiny little jet. And obviously there's fuel getting into there. Yeah, that's fairly clean. Yeah, that's okay. Drop that in there out the way. And now I can take off the bimetallic strip. What this does is when the car's warmed up and when it's cold, it pulls the jet higher and lower. I think it raises it up slightly as the car warms up to actually weaken it. I haven't read the manual, so I'm not entirely sure which way it goes, but now I can undo that and pull the jet tube out as well. So the screw for that is just a shouldered screw with a spring on it, so you can only tighten it as far down as it'll go, and the spring takes up all the tension on that. So then, and the jet tube basically then just slides out like so. Yep, that was me just blowing through it. Yeah, ooh, petrol tastes horrible. Other than a bit of a clean up, I don't think there's anything wrong in there. I might just order some new parts and rebuild it as it is. Maybe a new jet, new needle, new gaskets. So I would think it's just the fuel that's causing the problem, because I remember the last time I ran Mrs. Winn, she ran absolutely fine, but I'm pretty sure I did put fresh fuel inside, but that was a few years ago, so I will admit that. So yeah, all looking rather good. So on the needles, there is a code on the needle, and what the code does is determines the taper on the needle as it goes through the jet. So obviously a 1.7 will have a different jet to a 2 litre, and the same as like twin carb setup, single carb setup, they will all be different, whether they're automatics or that kind of thing. So yeah, although the carburetor is the same, the jet and the needle is going to be different. So if you are going to strip down a carb, make sure you get the right jet for the carburetor for your engine. So before I go any further, I will tell you that Mrs. Winn does not have her original engine and gearbox. She has a late Ambassador 2 litre manual engine, and although the carburetors are basically identical, they just have a different code. I think it's FZX and then a number, and that determines which jet and needle is in the carburetor. So if I remember correctly, I didn't know this at the time when I put the new engine in Mrs. Winn, and I think I just used her original carburettor, and I didn't swap out the jet and needle. So I think while I've got it off, I will order a new jet and needle for it, because at the end of the day, this needle does look pretty crap. As you can see on the end, if I start polishing this, I may take some metal off it, and that will then alter the jet and it will alter the fueling, so I don't want to do that. So I think while it's in bits, I'm going to get on Tinternet, order a new jet and needle specific for Mrs. Winn, because of the engine that she's got in there. So there's just one more thing for me to get out of this carburetor, which is where the float jet sits. Inside there is a filter, believe it or not. So I think I'm going to get that out, and I've got a feeling that that might be blocked. If it ain't, it'll just be down to fuel. But I'll be honest with you, I can strip these carburetors in literally 2 minutes flat. So there's nothing to these at all. It's just a case of remembering where everything goes. And sure enough, that was kind of blocked up. And it's now flowing nice and free. So there's no filter in this particular one. That is basically straight down to the feed pipe here. So it just comes along here and into there. So that just screws in there like that. Some of these carburetors do have a filter, this one doesn't. And if I just get my little float jet, all that does is sit in there, nice snug fit, and it's basically, it is spring loaded in there, but it opens purely with the pressure of the fuel, and then when this chamber fills up to the correct level, this then pivots and keeps it closed. Sometimes these little springs here, this little lever, it's only metal and they do bend sometimes. So if you're getting a problem with these carburetors overfilling and it leaks out of that one, because that's basically when it gets too full of fuel, it goes out of there. What can happen is either that jet gets stuck inside there, or this little spring bends, so when it gets full of fuel it doesn't actually shut off, because the jet itself has a tiny little spring loaded plunger on the end there. So sometimes they can get stuck in, so which actually lowers your jet down and allows fuel to come through. So there is a height setting which I will show later on in the video when I set the carburetor back up, and I'll show you how to do that. Right, let's order some parts. So that's all from me in this video. So join me again when the bits turn up for the carburetor. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you soon. Bye bye.